and he was the bravest man I've ever known.
Well, you're not wrong. But the only other person that I can consider is Sirius Black. He's one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. Sirius Black might have been a little reckless at times, but at least he was a rebel with a cause. Sirius, as we all know, went through a difficult life, from his childhood to Hogwarts years, and the life after was the worst to him. Even after Harry and Hermione rescued him from a kiss by Dementors, Sirius isn't exactly a free man once he flies away on Buckbeak. So in today's video, we'll be discussing why Sirius Black is the bravest Harry Potter character of the entire book series. Escaping his pure-blood obsessed family, Sirius clearly had a miserable childhood, the only Gryffindor in a family full of Slytherins. He was, according to Kreacher, hated by his mother for being regarded as a disgrace to the Black family. Being brought up in a pure-blood obsessed household was not a choice, so moving away from the family line was a very rare thing and might actually lead to execution. But Sirius rejected their values, leading to conflict with his family. He even put Gryffindor banners, as well as a picture of himself and his friends on the walls of his room to confirm his differences from the family and annoy his parents. Sirius proceeded to run away from his home at 16. These are not acts of childhood rebellion, they were choices. Sirius actively rejected his family's beliefs and expectations, and that took a lot of courage. Becoming an animagus. Not only it is very difficult to transform into an animal at will, it's also against wizarding law to do so without registering yourself as an animagus. This never bothered Sirius. When he and his friends discovered Lupin was a werewolf, their reaction was not to leave him, but to figure out a way to accompany him. When Remus was very happy about it, Sirius didn't worry about anything else, including being caught as an illegal animagus, or maybe suffering a werewolf bite. He was pretty brave to do anything for his friend. His loyalty to his friends. It's obvious that Sirius was reckless, and during his school days, he and James encouraged each other to attempt breaking rules. In Sirius' own words, they could be arrogant, occasionally they were even cruel, but Sirius' saving grace was his loyalty to his friends. Even the trick he played on Snape was in response to Snape trying to get them expelled. And Sirius' loyalties were nothing compared to what he was willing to do in later life. As the Potter's secret keeper, Sirius risked being killed by Voldemort, something he absolutely would have done. As he told Pettigrew, "Then you should have died rather than betray your friends, as we would have done for you." However, Sirius thought the Potters would be safer with Pettigrew as their secret keeper, sure that Voldemort would come after him and leave the weak, talentless Pettigrew alone. Sirius persuading James to use Pettigrew as secret keeper was motivated by worrying about his family's safety. That Pettigrew would betray them was something Sirius never considered, because to him loyalty was a given. Breaking out of Azkaban. Those Azkaban years must have been the worst in Sirius' life. Wrongly imprisoned, sad about the death of his friends, and with nothing else to think about. Sirius was also the only one who knew that Pettigrew was responsible for the Potter's death. Rather than let these feelings overwhelm him, Sirius used them to his benefit. And realizing it, Pettigrew was at Hogwarts, disguised as Scabbers, gave him the focus he needed to escape. And not just escape, to actually track Pettigrew all the way to Hogwarts. He spent some of his time in the Shrieking Shack, planning various ways to catch Pettigrew. He even sneaked into the Gryffindor dormitory to attempt catching him, despite the fact that the school was guarded by Dementors, and the whole world was looking for him. Sirius was granted a new life when he was rescued by Hermione and Harry, but he was once again a wanted man, although alive, soul intact, and innocence known to at least certain people. Supporting Harry throughout the trials of the tournament. Sirius' visit to Harry in the guise of Padfoot does show his bravery. He was meant to be hiding, but there he was in Hogsmeade with Buckbeak, eating stolen chicken legs. But the reason he traveled to see Harry was because he wanted to be there for him, as he used to be with his school friends. So he was now with Harry, supporting his godson was much more important than his own safety. Sirius donated his family home at 12 Grimmauld Place in London as Order headquarters. Unfortunately, as he was still wanted by the authorities, Sirius could never safely leave the house, and he became very upset over being useless. But despite that, he briefly leaves the house to see his godson Harry to the Hogwarts Express. There is no doubt it was a dangerous behavior, especially Draco Malfoy did recognize Sirius in his Animagus form.
Get away from my godson.
Following Harry to the Department of Mysteries, this was more obvious that Sirius' act was the greatest bravery. Voldemort used Harry's affection for Sirius to lure him to the Department of Mysteries, and Sirius refused to sit home when Harry was threatened. He could have stepped aside because the Order of Phoenix already responded. And being found at the Ministry of Magic would have been particularly disastrous for Sirius, given he was still on the run from Azkaban, but that was never an option. He might have lost his duel with Bellatrix, but the fact that his final moments were spent actively defending his godson was at least an appropriate death for Sirius.